Friends, and welcome back to the channel. Today I thought I would come on and show you a way that I like to use up my scraps. My last video I actually pulled some of my crepe paper scraps, and I had quite a few little very small awkward shaped pieces. So off camera I made a few 4x6 cards, and I thought I would just come on and show you how I do them. These could be photo mats. They could be, actually they'd be a great photo mat, especially when you've got a couple of gaps here, because the photo will cover all of that. Or it's a great spot for journaling. I tend to use them for journaling. They would also be a good title card as long as you positioned whatever embellishments you're going to put over the gaps. So this is not only a great way to use your scraps, but also a great way to use up a paper that you're not super duper excited to use up. This is from a Recollections 12x12 pad, and it's just all cacti. And I don't really have a use for this, so I am going to show you how I'm going to cover it up. Of course, you could also just use whatever cardstock you have on hand. I've also used index cards in the past, so I will walk you through the process. First things first, you have to find a piece that is going to be long enough to cover this diagonal. And I don't have a huge amount here, so you've got a couple of different options. You can use a piece of washi tape. You can cut into your scraps, which is probably what I'm going to do. I'm just going to grab a couple of the longer pieces. And the other really cool thing about this is it doesn't even really matter the directionality, because you're essentially creating your own pattern paper. I have a mixture of single-sided and double-sided papers in my scraps. That'll be fine. And I'm just kind of using my guillotine trimmer where the silver part of the blade is as my guide. I feel like this is a pretty good width. As I said, washi tape would also be a great option. You don't have to cut them all the same width if you want to make it a little bit more scrappy. I know I have a lot of branding strip pieces left in here. So there we go. That'll do. So once you've got some longer strips, I like to start on the diagonal. And I'm just using liquid glue here, but you could use whatever you have. You can use a glue stick. Tape runner would be great. Double-sided adhesive, also a great option. I like to start in the middle because I always feel like it gives me a good idea how many long pieces I'm going to need. So for example, this piece is not long enough. But if I cut it in half, knowing I'm going to probably put a photo or something over it, just go all the way over to this edge and all the way up this edge. And when your photo goes over the top, nobody will know. So you just keep doing this over and over and over again. You can mix up the patterns. You can repeat patterns. It's entirely up to you. Kind of running low on small pieces. So let's do a repeaty pattern one. And of course, when you get on these sides, you can either use a great big chunk. You can even do, actually here, I'll show you another way you can use this. So this is a decently wide chunk. I'm going to cut it down. And the other thing you can do is you can almost do like a bricklaying pattern. I don't know if that's even really the right way to say that, but if they're the same-ish size, you can do something like that. And again, this will be covered, so nobody will be the wiser. I like sitting and doing these when I'm kind of in a funk, or if like today I'm just kind of killing a little bit of time between doing another project. I like this pink. Let's cut this guy up. And again, you can do whatever widths you like. But there you go. So I will finish this card off, and then I'll show you something else I like to do. This is a fantastic way to be in your scrap room, playing with paper, and totally not stressing. It's one of my favorite things to do, almost like a warm-up for scrapbooking or doing any other sort of paper crafting. Love these things. Actually, rather than doing the border, let's do another. Let's do another one of these ones. There we go. So as you can see, they're not one continuous piece, but nobody's going to know that except us. Especially if you take the time and cut them so that they're the same width. Like these two are not quite the same width, but these two are. And what I would recommend if you're doing this is stagger where the seams are. And then that way, as long as they're somewhat in the center, you're okay. I think I also say this somewhere in the video, but this is also a great thing to do in front of the TV. It's pretty mindless. Even better if you've got all your little pieces of paper cut down to size. And this is just a really great way to use up scraps from all kinds of different collections, cardstock. A lot of the times when I do this, I'll actually emboss the paper and use it as a card mat or something like that. So you can even make it more fancy than what I'm doing in this video. I tend to do the dry embossing when it's just plain cardstock because it's just kind of boring, but these patterns are all quite busy, so I didn't bother in this video at all. Looks like I'm back live. So this little pile of scraps is quickly disappearing, and I've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different cards with my scraps. And you can see I mix and match colors, patterns. These are just the patterns that I happen to have scraps of. So there we go. Tackle your scrap bin, friends. And don't be afraid to use up the branding strips and any of your not so loved papers. All right, that's it for me for today. As always, thanks for coming to hang out with me, and I will see you next video. Bye for now.